5 stupid things I've noticed since last time. Go! Homophobic evangelist sues Rachel Maddow for slander. Bradley Dean, drummer in a shitty Christian rock band, no, wait, that's redundant, drummer in a Christian rock band, and founder of the ministry You Can Run But You Cannot Hide, is suing MSNBC host Rachel Maddow and Minnesota Independent reporter Andy Berkey for $50 million for slander. The diabolical method employed by Maddow and Berkey to defame Bradley Dean's character? Quoting things he has actually said. Things like,
Muslims are calling for the execution of homosexuals in America. This was just released yesterday, and it shows you that they themselves are upholding the laws that are even in the Bible, the Judeo-Christian God, but they seem to be more moral than even the American Christians do.
And
again, all the way up until 1961, you'd go to prison for 20 to 21 years if you were caught in the act of sodomy in Rhode Island. It was considered a mental illness, and folks, it is.
And
you got to get off the sympathy train if you're on that sympathy train, folks, because they are not, again, as you just said, Heather, they are not the victims. Who are the victims? The children are.
Doesn't matter how Christian you are, Bradley, you can't sue someone for slandering you as a bigoted troglodyte if you publicly behave like a bigoted troglodyte. Enjoy your stern lecture from the judge. New Spidey movie to retell the origin story. The trailer makes it look kind of cool. The great Alvin Sargent is back as a co-writer, and the guy who played the other guy who created Facebook is playing Spidey. Yeah, great, but do we really need next year's Amazing Spider-Man to tell us the origin story of Spider-Man yet again? Didn't Sam Raimi's first Spider-Man movie, one of the biggest, most ubiquitous blockbusters ever, cover that territory pretty well? Plus, the character's been around for almost 50 years in every kind of media imaginable. When I was a kid, I had an audio cassette that told me Spider-Man's origin. I think we all know how he got the spider powers. There's a reason why they call that backstory, not story. Blaming Darwin for the Norway killings. If Bill O'Reilly can get all in a huff over Norway bomber/shooter Anders Breivik being accurately described as a Christian, then I can sure as hell bitch a little bit about that same mass-murdering asshole being wrongly described as a Darwinist by radical right-wing rag WorldNet Daily. A Darwinist, WorldNet Daily, is someone who accepts the biological theory of evolution originated by Charles Darwin as a true and accurate explanation of how life on Earth got to be the way it is today. That's it. That's all a Darwinist is. Darwinism is biology. All the nasty, evil philosophies that religious fundamentalists are always trying to blame on Darwin, like social Darwinism, eugenics, national Darwinism, as Breivik calls it in his manifesto, are based on misinterpretations, misapplications, and perversions of Darwinian principles that are meant to describe what happens in nature, not what should happen in human society. If Anders Breivik were a true Darwinist, he would know that humans, being hominids, are social animals, and that committing acts of terrorism that kill and injure dozens of your fellow humans is not very social behavior. No NFL work stoppage. It was a nice dream while it lasted. For those of you who don't know, I absolutely loathe American football. It's right down there with motorcycles and religion for me. And now, thanks to an agreement reached by the players and the owners, the NFL season will go off more or less as scheduled. God damn it! Would it kill these guys to follow their wanton greed over a cliff just once? The death of compromise. Here in the United States, now so more than ever it seems, there is a huge gulf between our perception of ourselves and who we really are. We like to tell ourselves the story that America stands on never-changing rock-solid principles and that our forefathers built this into a great nation by being steadfast and refusing to compromise, when in reality it's our willingness to find common ground, to speak with many voices, to recognize and correct our mistakes that defines us. The myth of the uncompromising principled American is especially troublesome now that it's become the mascot of the Tea Party movement that has infected the Republican Party and escalated a routine raising of the national debt ceiling into a potential crisis with global implications. The conflict on Capitol Hill between Democrats and Republicans is as bitter now as it has been for many years. And that's not because President Obama declared war on the Republicans. It's because from the moment he claimed victory on election night 2008, they declared war on him. During this debt crisis negotiation, the president has offered concession after concession, only for Republicans in the House of Representatives to demand even more while never offering to budge from their own position. When Republican leaders refused to even consider the possibility of raising taxes on top earners to increase government revenue so deeper cuts in things like Social Security and Medicare wouldn't be necessary, the president walked out of negotiations. Later, when President Obama suggested closing loopholes in the tax code to require wealthy Americans to pay more, Speaker of the House John Boehner left the table. How is this going to solve the problem exactly? Compromise is necessary. It's human. It's American, since that seems to mean more to a lot of people in this country than their humanity. It's good, and it needs to happen. A republic doesn't function when one side is constantly trying to boss everybody else around. It functions when all sides come together and hammer out an agreement, and that is not what has been happening during this debt ceiling negotiation. In fact, I keep calling it a negotiation, but that hasn't been what this has been. This hasn't been a negotiation. This has been John Boehner and Eric Cantor and the rest of the Republicans beholden to the Tea Party and Grover Norquist's childish and idiotic no new taxes ever pledge, holding their breaths until they get their way. It's embarrassing, it's infantile, it's irresponsible, and it's stupid. The hardest part is only picking 5. See you next time.